Shalom, shalom, shalom. Okay, so basically I wanted to make a video. I haven't made a video in a long time. I did start making videos on YouTube, mostly about vaccines, and I started to notice that I wasn't very good at it. But I still think that the things that I have to say are important because I do believe that I am witnessing Yahuwah in the spirit guiding me. I just want to be a witness to that. My understanding of all of this is still very new. And so maybe I won't even share this video with anyone, but if I do, and if I share it with all of my social media, whoever sees this video, just know that I'm trying my best to just share everything that I can fast. And I'm trying to make sense, even though none of it seems to even make sense to me. So basically what has happened is I have made videos, but I'm not very good at it. My story is that I have always believed in the Most High, but I never took the time to get to know Him. And these past couple years, I have definitely taken the time to know Him. Many times in my life, I cried out when I basically felt compelled to cry out. I was never a regular prayer or a person who prayed at all or even really thought about Father or His scriptures. I definitely always just believed that they were true. Like I heard in church the Holy Bible, and now I know the scriptures aren't even called that, but I just believed that it would be the truth, and that Father did send His Son and all those things. Whenever it was being talked about in myself, I always felt like it was true. So to me, I just didn't really have any understanding. A couple years ago, 2 years ago, maybe it's getting closer to 3 now, either way, I basically had a situation with my son where he started having strange behaviors, and I basically was crying, and I felt compelled to pray, which a handful of times, or maybe more than a handful of times, but at a very rare occurrence, I would pray when I felt compelled to. And I noticed now, looking back, anytime I cried to Yahuwah, the Most High, which I called at the time God, I felt Him, and He did come to me. And I never knew His name. I didn't even know anything really about the 10 Commandments. Like, I knew that they existed, but I really wasn't paying attention to nothing or anything. I wasn't paying attention to anything because, Satan has us all trapped in this matrix little spinning hamster on the wheel type of thing, and basically that isn't even real life. And once your mind starts to open, even if we're not all at the same place, once you start to come out of that box, wherever you may be, it is scary. It all starts to get really scary. Some people love that feeling. For me, I am scared, and it hurts my stomach. And that's really all I can say about that. Anyway, I have witnessed Father's goodness. I wasn't a faithful person, and I definitely was not a morally good person. Inside my heart, I have always tried to be a helpful, loving person, but what love was to me was a distorted image of just things that I've seen that people who are broken, who are just trying their best, they loved, and they tried to love me perfectly, and everybody tries to love everyone perfectly, but a lot of us are deceived or blinded. And even if someone ever was loving me as a child perfectly, whatever family members, people did not even do anything wrong. People even prayed for me or whatever. It's just, evil is out to get everyone, especially people who have a heightened spiritual ability to channel and hear spirits like I can, which I never really understood. That's why I always have all these issues with my life is because of the spirits that are in my consciousness that I can hear, that even other people could hear, but they don't understand. They think it's their own consciousness. I went through this on my own, but I do hear Father in my consciousness, and I'm much more aware of it now. A lot of this seems like it's not going to make sense unless a few people know what I'm talking about. The only point I'm trying to make is that I have called out to the Most High, who I know or I witness, and I know that his name is Yahuwah, and I may not understand every single thing about the pure tongue, or whatever you want to call it, the original languages, whatever they were originally called. I mean, now there's even debate about what they were actually called too, you know? All of it is very confusing, but the Spirit of truth and the scriptures, they do have truth, and they hold the truth, and the Spirit is what brings us into exposing all of the deceptions that evil has tried to modify into the word over time. And basically, I'm just a witness to crying out, and he was there, and he was patient, and he was kind, and he was merciful. And this last time, a couple years ago, when I called out or cried out, I asked him to show me the truth about a certain situation regarding my son. And basically, right after I prayed about this, I started getting all of these major signs and just a bunch of things happening in a row. And it didn't seem coincidental, considering that they were all regarding or related to the situation I was praying about, and where I thought someone might be doing something to my son, and my son started doing all of these strange behaviors, and then people who were involved with my son, people who they were related to, that they brought around me, that were just children, started saying things that made me concerned. So it just seemed like as soon as I had been praying, a lot of things started happening very, very fast, and I started getting this feeling inside that I had to listen to, and it was saying to leave the situation, to do this, to do that. At one point, it told me to quit my job, and that was like the best job that I had ever had. At that point, you know, that I had made the most money off of, I was able to pretty much get me and my son anything I needed or wanted. Maybe we were not rich compared to what other people consider rich, but I certainly wasn't struggling like I am now, living off of, you know, the benefits that the government gives me, which is not anything, and they continuously keep on taking money away, despite the fact that there is no changes in my income, which I just know is them targeting me and attacking me like they have been for the past 2 years, ever since I started speaking out about these things. It's not a coincidence, and I don't care if people call me paranoid. I know exactly what's happening, and it's completely fine. Anyway, I am a witness to the Spirit. I am a witness to not being able to understand anything and praying for understanding, and having the consciousness of something higher, much higher, the highest high of all consciousness was speaking to me and showing me the truth. And it did guide me through the scriptures, and I did come to a place where I was worshiping the Most High and calling him God. And I was calling his son Jesus, and I was in a church. And then in this church, while this pastor was talking, I love this church. All of the people still to this day, I think they're lovely, lovely people. I do think that a lot of them may be deceived by this religion, Christianity, but they were good people. I have nothing bad to say about them. I thought, you know, maybe sometimes that I was kind of scary to them, because I know they seen my vaccine post at that point. But I was just starting then. So basically, in my consciousness, this pastor is talking, and I have never been one to even be learned in the scriptures. And this was a couple years ago when all this other stuff started happening. And I basically was just sitting there listening to this preacher who I really enjoyed listening to, because I felt like he was actually attacking real issues of the world, you know, trafficking, slavery. You know, he had showed videos in his church about this. I was really appreciating this pastor's way of preaching. And he's preaching about the law of Moses being nailed to the cross, and I didn't really even know anything about the law of Moses. I had heard of it, but I didn't really know anything about it, and I really was not even all that interested in it, really. But I'm just sitting there, trying to absorb everything that this man's saying, because I was getting interested in stuff like that. And finally, in my consciousness, I hear that a voice said to me, "This is not correct. You need to go home and research this." Maybe it wasn't in those exact words, but it was those words. And I basically went home and started to research, I don't even know exactly what I would have typed in at that time, but I started to research scriptures basically, and I was praying, and I was definitely in Yahuwah's good grace then, because I was genuinely trying. I was coming out of all my sin, and I did end up going back at one point, but I am now again continuously coming out of sin, all because of the grace, love, and strength of the Messiah's and the Father's power inside me, or his spirit that he works through his Son. A lot of that is confusing too, because I grew up understanding it as a Trinity, and now I'm realizing, the scriptures do say Yahuwah is one. A lot of it is still hard to understand for me right now. I'm not pretending like I have everything together, but the Spirit definitely spoke to me in my consciousness, relaying messages to me that there was no way that in my mind, or no matter how hard I would have tried to be intelligent or know anything about the scriptures or anything about vaccines or anything about science, none of these things ever made sense to me. The only thing that I was ever good at was being a drug addict and being, a whore, basically. I really craved attention from other people, and I equated this to love, and I spent a lot of time fornicating and being in sexually immoral situations, and it's just the truth. And those were the things that I thought I was good at, and so that made me a slave to Satan without even intentionally being that. I definitely was not trying to be evil. This was just what I was programmed to find satisfying. And so now that I have come out of that programming, I am grateful for that. And that was all by the program, or that was all by the unprogramming and healing of the Ruach of Yahuwah. And he did lead me into all truth. And in the scriptures, it speaks about, his spirit leading you into all truth. And you don't need other men or people to teach you anything. You can still learn from them, but you should be praying and asking for the teacher, Yahuwah himself, his spirit, Father, in prayer. Palal is what the word is. We should be asking him for the answers. We shouldn't be asking pastors or people who claim that they read and study the scriptures, because maybe they were not appointed by Yahuwah, which is what he revealed to me. This pastor didn't have any bad intent probably, but Yahuwah told me this is a false teaching. I searched and I found that it was a false teaching, and I tried to rebuke this man out of love, and it was all out of the Ruach of Yahuwah and the love of Yahuwah to rebuke this man through me and everyone else that he's rebuking. It's not out of hate, it's out of love, and I am just a witness to the Ruach of Yahuwah, and I'm grateful, and I'm not worthy, but he did give me a purpose, which is to love him and to love others, and I don't have to be a slave to Satan anymore and what Satan wants from me, because the authority that's in me now is better and greater than that. So I just wanted to share that with my friends. I love you all, and I am glad to answer any questions or pray for anybody who needs it, for understanding or anything. So definitely get in touch with me if you need me. Shalom, which means peace.